Chrisley admitting that he committed crimes and that he's not been pardoned for. And then they're allowing him to go back to federal prisons and talk. He went to this RDAP thing at Pensacola, and he never was an RDAP. So what the fuck does he know about RDAP? And why are you going to sit there and talk about it, Chrisley, like you knew something? And so he went there, and he went to FCI Miami too. So if this dude can't be trusted because he admitted to committing crimes to the director of the Bureau of Prisons, and why are they letting him have carte blanche to go around? It's Steve Harvey, all this nonsense. It's all showboating. It's all bullshit.
Well, listen, I think Chrisley experienced, federal prison. He experienced how it is and how people are mistreated. And he's like, hey, look, you know what? Hold on, man. I dislike these people, and I'm going to expose what's really going on in the BOP. And staff members aren't happy about that.
No. And
Come on, Eric.
Come on, man. Hey, you tell me. Did he experience your federal prison or my federal prison? No. Bullshit. He was at a Camp Cupcake he was at. I don't want to hear that, man.
So we're back with one of the dudes that probably hates the BOP director, probably hates the assistant director. We're going to get into all that stuff. I was actually at Coleman when this guy was a correctional officer there. We spoke about this before. He was in a battle with another prisoner for his life, actually, as crazy as that sounds. But let's talk a little bit about all the things that are pissing you off right now, Eric, because people wanted us to do a second interview. That's why we're here. And like I said, the assistant director, former prisoner, and it seems like, you and your partner, you're all over Facebook. A lot of people are shooting at this dude. Tell us why.
All right, man. Well, obviously we got the shutdown going on now. Billy Bob Marshall, the director, took away our collective bargaining agreement, which is bullshit. Josh Smith is another thing. He's got felonies and all this other shit going on with him, and he's pardoned, and he's the deputy director, whatever. I still have the petition out for that. And I got some blowback after your first one, by the way. And we'll get into that about the chick with the DHO thing and all the other bullshit there. But yeah, no, I'm pretty upset. Still upset. And it's funny, some of the comments and shit on your page were like, oh, that guy's a snitch, he's this, he's that, and whatever. I'm not a snitch. I just, keeping it real. And what's wrong is wrong, what's right is right. And when I said all the stuff I said, I'm a whistleblower, man. Like, I was trying to make the Bureau of Prisons better, but what's going on now is not the case.
Let's talk about that, because you said you would like to make the Federal Bureau of Prisons better, right? We might start arguing here today because we're gonna get into it. We're gonna keep it real. We're gonna keep it raw, right? When we talk about making the BOP, better, we could talk about, look, there's a lot of violence. You end up in places like Big Sandy. You end up in places like Coleman and Pollock and USP Beaumont. Extremely dangerous. Nothing nice about these places, right? But do you ever think that sometimes the correctional officers, the prison guards, the prison cops, what some people might call you guys, do you think they sometimes make a hostile environment?
Yeah. It depends at different joints. There's different things going on. Like, they had the Cowboys out in Florence, Colorado, and those guys were known for beating up inmates and just doing bad shit. I've never abused an inmate. People may say this, that, and the other thing. I've never even pepper sprayed an inmate.
Let me say this, right, Eric? I think we get along all right. This is the deal, right? After we did that video, I did have other staff members write me, former staff members. I had a couple prisoners write me like, hey, I know that dude. And they're like, yo, man, that dude was a hard ass. They're like, yo, that dude will go in your cell, destroy your cell, mistreat you as far as that type of stuff goes. But is that how it was? Would you go in there and destroy dudes' cells and just leave their shit messed up?
Not all the time. No, not just for nothing. Like if there was I knew there was contraband or something in there and looking for shit, then yeah, sometimes. But for the most part, no, I wouldn't just go out of my way because I was having a bad day just to go in and fuck with the inmates. I was never that dude. I've actually saved some inmates' lives. One at FCI Miami, I forced the lieutenant on midnight shift to send him out to the hospital. He had to have emergency surgery. His intestine was twisted up. Not going to say his name because that's HIPAA shit. But without me forcing the lieutenant to send this inmate out, that in which he ultimately had emergency surgery, he would have died over the night. So inmates, so people can say what they want. I really don't give a shit. I mean, I did my job the right way. I'll hang my hat on that.
Look, I mean, there's rules that got to be followed, right? Obviously. But sometimes, in that environment, all the rules don't apply. Sometimes rules are just on the books, right? And some cops really enforce the rules, no matter what they are. You might tell a guy, hey, you can't sleep underneath your covers after 7 o'clock in the morning. You got to be on your bed has to be made. Remember that rule?
I never used to enforce dumb shit like that. That's how you really get the inmates pissed off at you when you get nitpicky like that. I mean, I that kind of shit, no. But like disrespect towards me or a coworker, or even disrespect towards other inmates, just being a bully or an asshole, that kind of shit would get me going.
So let's say you're working the compound with another officer, right? And there's a inmate, a prisoner that one of the I don't like to use the word inmate. There's a prisoner and one of the cops don't like him, and he tells me, "Hey, get on the wall, asshole! Get on the wall." And he talks to him like that, right? And he's patting him down and he's hitting him in the balls when he comes up his leg. Something like that. What would you do? Something like, would you just go along with the flow? Would you say something? Would you intervene and be like, come on, man, you don't have to do that? Or would you wait until the prisoner walks away and then say something to him or not say anything at all?
I've had that happen, and you got to realize something, Chad. When just like with the inmates, when you step down from higher institutions, you have to step down mentally too. The inmates have to, because if you're on pen mode the whole time, you ain't gonna make it at a medium, and you sure as hell ain't gonna last at a low. And I remember at FCI low, there was a dude I remember from Coleman. This dude did time at the Supermax. If you do time at the Supermax, you're a problem. So he worked his way all the way down to FCI's camp, even. And I remember when he was inside the low, all these Puerto Rican inmates in there, and I got to talk to you about that, about the OSHA complaint, and about that lieutenant. But so that inmate's in there, and he was like pissed. I saw him in the chow hall, and I went over to him. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to put him out there like that, because he's actually, I got respect for this dude a lot. So I come up to him and I said, and he was a baller too. And he was a bad dude. Like he knew jujitsu and karate and shit and everything else, like for real, like out in the street. Anyway, I go up to him. I said, hey man, I said, don't let these Puerto Rican dudes piss you off. I said, they're in here and they're on some dumb shit. They can't make it up on a real joint. At FCI, they can fuck around here. But then I said to him, I said, listen, man, your daughter's getting ready. She's going into the Navy, and you're getting ready to get out. And there's a bigger, better things to deal with. Don't worry about these assholes. Just keep it moving. And he said to me, you know what, Spears, you're right, man. Fuck these guys. And so then he made to the camp, and then he got out. So I mean, people think like just because I'm a hard ass, and I was a hard ass, but I got respect for inmates that show respect, and that dude, I got serious respect for him. And he was in the challenge program up at Coleman up there, so he was like a mentor to other inmates. So that dude, I'm glad he got out, and I'm glad. I hope I never have to see him. I mean, if I see him out in the street, whatever, that's fine. But I hope I never see him come back in again.
Let's talk about staff members, right? I mean, you want to address this lady, like you sent me some of the text messages. She wrote some pretty nasty shit. And that's why I say a lot of times people in the BOP that work there, they can't work in the private sector, right? And maybe we'll put that up in the video, but this lady ends up becoming a DHO. But when you look at her tone and the things that she put on Facebook or messages that she sent, you can tell she's unprofessional. She probably can't work in the private sector. Let's talk about her.
All right. So on the first thing we did, we discussed, I name dropped some people, some pieces of shit. This chick being one of them. So she sent to me, and my buddy Fred put it up on Facebook. She sent me a unsolicited message, which is going to be dealt with in my hearing this month to hopefully get my job back. But right here, it's on Facebook. And she says at the end of it, you talk shit because my husband hemmed you up. That's the only way you can get under his skin is to talk about his wife. Again, pathetic. That's from Tila Hugo. Like, I didn't ask you to send that to me. She's in there. She says, oh, I'm glad you got fired and all this bullshit. I'm just like, this lady's off the rails, man. Well, guess what? They congratulated her and others becoming the DHO. at the FDC Miami recently. So you tell me, does a person of that emotional and just nuts, like she violated the social media policy, the BOP. Matter of fact, so did Billy Bob Marshall, the director, with that crook Chrisley, the fraudster. We'll get into that shit too. But she violated that shit, and like, you really think she can be on? Because when you're a DHO, you can take away people's good time. That's like keeping them in prison longer. You really think she has uh I would say the demeanor to be impartial like that? You're kind of like a judge as the DHO.
Let's talk about the DHO so people know. Disciplinary hearing officer, they can take your good time. They can take away your visits, your privileges. They can do all that stuff, right? But let's really get into it. How many people really end up getting any type of rhythm at the DHO? It doesn't happen often, right? Because when an officer writes up an inmate or a prisoner, I hate using the word inmate, when an officer writes up a prisoner and they go in front of the DHO, this lady's probably friends with the officer. She's known him for 10, 15 years that wrote the report. And the prisoner goes in and says, no, that's not what happened. Is the DHO really listening to that person anyway? Does it even matter? Or is it just a formality?
I mean, her husband, Chad, is the lieutenant that was involved. She admitted hemming you up. What does that mean? If you Google it or whatever, it's jamming somebody, it's getting somebody arrested or getting somebody, charged or whatever. So this dude is if he's willing to jam up employees, and this guy's bed downs with this crazy chick. Imagine what he would do to imagine what she's going to do to the inmates. I mean, if she knows her husband's hemming people up, and I said before it was a conspiracy and that the union was involved, yeah. I mean, I'm pissed about it. Yeah, and she shouldn't be. And the other people in that DHO thing, they were in this part of this article here that Walter Pavlo did from Forbes. So what happened in that, and that just goes to show you, like, there's a lieutenant in there that I did an OSHA complaint on a couple months ago because they were fucking with the Puerto Rican inmates and the gangs over there, and they put a hit on her for $1 million. And she's also a DHO. Can she be? She's an alternate DHO. Can she be trusted? They had to have our SWAT team sit on her house for a whole month, sit outside there because they were afraid she was going to get gunned down with $1 million hit on your head. What CO, Chad? You've been down the block. What CO gets $1 million hit on their head?
Not many. But I mean, look, this comes from people mistreating people in prison. And sometimes you're around dudes, man, and you've worked in the pen many years, you're around dudes that really don't have nothing to lose. And sometimes these officers they get out of line. A lot of times they get out of line. They think that, hey, look, and this is the culture. I mean, we're going to keep it real, man. The culture in prison is they're prisoners, they're scumbags. We're going to do whatever we want to do to them, pretty much. Destroy your cell, slap you when you're handcuffed. Like, I've seen it 1,000 times, bro. This is what really happens in federal prison, right? I mean, are there some good staff members? There are some good staff members. There are some people that come there and they do their job. I'll give you an example. There was a CO in Raybrook, Dara. He was a super cop, but he did his job and he knew that men respected men. And you knew that he was always going to be the same. He wouldn't go out of his way to, violate the rules. He would follow the rules. If you were doing something wrong and he caught you, you're selling dope, you got a cell phone, he caught you, he's going to get you. And he's going to get you the right way. But you got other cops that go out of their way where they dislike you. They'll go in your cell. They suspect, oh, you're selling deuce in here. Or, we heard this guy's got a cell. They destroy all your stuff. They don't find nothing. I've seen that happen plenty of times as well. And a lot more than it probably should be happening. Have you seen that?
Yeah, but I mean, all right, so there were situations where this was disrespect or whatever, and sometimes you have to go in and you handle things different ways with different inmates. Some inmates don't give a shit if you give them an incident report. Some inmates don't care because they don't have any commissary, they have no money, they have nothing, whatever.
So hold on, let me stop you. So hold on. When you got a guy like that where you can't do nothing to hurt him, are those the type of guys you handcuff and punch in the face?
No. Well, no, I've never done that, dude. And
I'm not saying you. I'm saying there's other officers that operate.
And I'm sure it's happened. I'm not going to bullshit you, dude. I don't, but that doesn't happen around me because they know I'm straight and narrow and don't do shit like that around Spears because I'm not going to be. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to have to testify. I don't want to go to FBI or OIG or whatever about it. So people know those kind of like you kind of know the guys that are going to do stupid shit like that, and then they also know not to do it around you. And so like, yeah, I mean like okay, so an inmate that doesn't. So what do? Okay, maybe you give them extra duty or you give them there's other ways to if you can't write somebody up or hey, guess what, I'm going to shake your cell down then. Okay, I don't care, I don't have nothing, but I'm going to shake your neighbor's cells right next to you too.
Let me stop you. So now when you got a guy like that, he don't have nothing to lose, nothing to take, you're going to shake down his neighbor. When an officer's shaking down the neighbor, what's his intention? Is it that, hey, this guy's going to get pissed at this guy and he's going to handle that business, prison justice? I mean, is that what you're insinuating?
I mean, you're supposed to shake down 5 cells a day.
No. We're not going to beat around the bush now, Eric. I mean, we're
I know. I'm keeping it real with you. Has that stuff happened? Yes. But then if you go and shake down their neighbor cells or the whole range or the side there, okay, next thing you know is they end up like coming to you say, look, CO, I don't want no more problems. Like you and I were good, no issues. I said, no problem, man, we're good. And then it just goes away. But I mean, like, but there's I mean, that's not something you're supposed to do every day or anything like that. But if somebody doesn't get it and they keep being disruptive or being just a dipshit and whatever, that's what happens. I'm being real with you. I know that happens all the time.
No, we both know that happens, but we want the public to know what really happens in the BOP and how staff operate, where they're like, hey, check this out. You got nothing to lose, so I'm going to search your celly, and they're going to punch you in the face over this. And then you're going to come apologize to us, and then we're going to fix this. And you're going to respect me now because I made a move where another prisoner disciplined you. Back in the day, that's how it worked. Prisoners disciplined prisoners.
Well,
and hold on.
Yeah, no,
hold on. The wardens, the captains, they knew how to run their prisons. And you know what? Back then, things were more violent, but they ran a lot better.
Well, I understand that, but it's not. Sometimes it's not even about an inmate doing violence to another inmate. Even if you go into a cell and you don't even, you just shake it down light, but you don't do nothing, you don't take nothing to really mess it up. It's kind of like, you know what? I don't want the cops in my cell or in my neighbor's cell. Like, dude, go apologize to that guy because you were and inmates tell the other inmates, look, you were wrong. You were an asshole to the cop for no reason, man. Why don't you go down and apologize to the dude and just be like, look, I don't want no problems from you. We're good. Just let's just keep it moving. And that's what happens more of the time. I mean, then violence and other shit going down. Because a lot of times that's kind of it's a two-way street when it comes to respect in the joint. I can't let an inmate disrespect me, just like an inmate can't let me disrespect them.
So that's kind of what we were talking about. I mean, there's all these rules on the books, but prisoners don't follow them. Staff don't always follow them. And sometimes you bend the rules because this is the environment that we live in. We're not working for Xerox. We're not working for Kodak. This isn't right. This is a different world. It's a different world that we live in. So, sometimes you have to accomplish goals in prison in different ways, whether you're an officer accomplishing a goal or whether you're a prisoner accomplishing a goal. Now, we're going to get into, the fact that you really dislike Josh, right? You dislike him. You dislike Billy Bob. But hold on. Let me finish so we can get to where we need to go. All right.
Yeah.
So you dislike him because he's a former federal prisoner. A lot of prisoners are happy that he is the BOP director because they feel like, hey, or the assistant director, deputy director, whatever you want to call him. They feel like, wow, this guy has been here. He's got some insight. He knows what's really going on here. And if he keeps it real, he knows what's going on both ends, whether it's the officers or whether it's the prisoners, right? And when you're in that position, you have to be fair. You have to say, yeah, okay, look, I'll give you an example. They took away microwaves. One of the stupidest things they could have ever done, right? Just creates a whole bunch more problems. Him being the deputy director, he has the power to bring back microwaves, which would probably be a good idea. He also
be less stingers and stuff like that.
he also had, I mean, that's just something simple, but it's just an example. He also understands from a prisoner's perspective, and now that he's a professional and he's making real money and he owns a bunch of businesses, he probably understands what staff has to do, right? And how they have to be treated too. He can't come out and say, you know what, if you got a prisoner that's unruly and spitting on you, you should punch him in the face. But in his mind, he probably thinks if someone spit on me, I'd probably punch him in the face too in a darkened hallway, because I would. Just keeping it real. Sometimes, like we said, this is a different environment. You can't do that stuff, but it happens. And sometimes you do have to do that stuff. I'm cool with admitting that. That's just the world that we live in when we're in this prison environment. Although I've been out of it for, 5 years now and hopefully never go back. So let's talk about why you dislike Josh, bro. It's because he's a felon.
It's more than just that. It's the fact that, I got fired and people are going to say again, oh, he's a crybaby. Oh, he's this and that. Fuck you. I don't care. Bottom line is I got fired and got mistreated because of a dirty internal affairs asshole, and because the union allowed me to get fired. So, and I fought so hard for the union. I even protested for the union and shit. So why it's not my hatred for Josh. It's just the fact that he does not belong in that position. He's not qualified. I mean, we've already argued that point, but I still have the petition out there. And I believe that, and some other stuff may or may not have happened. We talked about that off camera, and I'm not going to bring that up. But if things like that are happening, that's showing to me or telling that, there's a potential for, being compromised or whatever. If what we talked about may or may not be true, I don't know.
But we can always go back. We can always go back to rehabilitation, right? And we can say, hey, he's not qualified, but, in your perspective, he's not qualified because he could be compromised because, he was involved in drug distribution, drug trafficking, bad guy. Look, I've been home 5 years, right? And I haven't been doing a lot of videos because I've been building a construction company. Honestly, I mean, I've been selling some pretty big jobs, $50,000 jobs. I think I sent them to you, $45,000 jobs. Yeah. So I kind of stepped away. But I try to, and not always, because I do slip sometimes. I've had an argument a couple of weeks ago with some guy. And I didn't keep it professional when I should have. But I believe in rehabilitation. I think that people can change. I mean, he got clemency, whatever, and he's a former felon. Is that why he's unqualified in your mind? Because he's a former felon and he was involved in the drug trade, so he could be compromised?
Well, yes, and like at the end of the day, I have a buddy, a close friend of mine, he's a former felon. And he hasn't been, he was dealing drugs way back when it did state time years ago. He's been out for probably 10, 15 years. But my thing is I talk to him about this regularly. And he's like, what's bullshit? He goes, I can't afford to pay for a fucking pardon or whatever that Chrisley guy got and this Josh guy got. And so he's like, and this guy's making 200 grand a year. I'd like to make 200 grand a year. I've lived a pretty good life ever since I got out of prison. But that's hypocrisy at its finest. He's like, it's bullshit. It's because my buddy's Hispanic and they're white and this white privilege shit. And I'm like, okay, maybe, I don't know. I said, but I agree that if you're gonna do it for one, do it for all. And if you're not, then that's bullshit.
All right, but let's go back to the white privilege thing that you just said. Your boy said whatever he said, right? I don't believe in any of that stuff as far as the BOP goes. And I mean, let's look at Alice Johnson. She's black, African-American woman, older woman. Trump makes her the pardon czar, gives her clemency, gives her a pardon, and puts her in a very high position over there where she's making great money, right? I don't think Josh really probably cares about the 200,000 because I think he's got plenty of bread. I think he owns a bunch of businesses and he really built himself up, right? So we can't be like, hey, white privilege, because like I know, there's plenty of people in high positions in the Bureau of Prisons that aren't, Caucasian. They're not white. I mean, there's captains, there's lieutenants. And we discussed this guy, and you had sent me a picture of him. He was actually the captain at FMC. I think he was the captain at FMC Lexington when I was there. Now he's a warden or an associate warden. He was a real asshole. He was a black dude. But I mean, there are people in high positions. So it's not, your buddy's like, I could look, I probably shouldn't say this on YouTube, but let me just keep it real, right? I came home with nothing 5 years ago, man. And I would love to make $200,000 a year. And in all honesty, with all the work that I do, I make more than $200,000 a year. And I give a lot, and I do give a lot back, right? But that's because I applied myself. No one said, hey, Chad, Chad's white, so let's give him this construction job. It don't work that way, man. I work 15, 16 hours a day, bro. I want to be an example for dudes getting out of prison, right? I want to be an example where they're like, yo, if Chad can do it, then I can do it. You have to apply yourself. Some people don't apply themselves. And we can't sit back and talk about, white privilege and this and that. And I'd like to make 200 grand a year. Well, tell your buddy, man, get a trade and go figure it out. Some people get stuck.
Oh no, my buddy, he works 7 days a week, and he has his regular job, and then he works in construction, and then on the weekends he has his own landscaping business. So I mean, he works 7 days a week.
Wonderful. So check this out, right? I could have came home and worked for somebody the rest of my life, but I decided to learn how to do certain things, and I said, I'm not going to be a worker. I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to own my own business. This is what I'm going to do. And when you own your own business, now you start to make $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, and you make a better life for yourselves. Look, I got a buddy right now. I'm going to bring him on the channel. Got out, man, 10 years ago, cutting grass. Dude robbed him that he was cutting grass for. He had enough money for a van and a truck. The last 3 years, he's made $10 million each year, remodeling houses for SFR3. Like this was a guy that got out cutting grass, living in a housing project in upstate New York. Now he's making millions and millions of dollars. So I don't look for excuses, man. I look for opportunities, bro.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I mean, like I said, like I have to qualify with a firearm. I have to do all this shit. Oh, and Josh and Billy Bob Marshall, they're both probationary right now, and I'm gonna get into Billy Bob in a minute. But so like, can Josh go to that academy and do what needs to get done? And is he legally allowed to carry a firearm and qualify with one? I don't know. But then like in order for me to get this job originally, I had to move somewhere to get the job and take the lowest level pay and move and uproot my family, myself up to Coleman. Okay. So I sacrificed a lot to get the job, to do all that. And well, what does Josh Smith sacrifice?
I mean, but look, does he have to sacrifice? If you don't think that he's qualified, I disagree. I think he is qualified. I think he's a business owner. I think that he knows both sides of the fence. I think he's qualified. Can he qualify on a gun range? Can he own a weapon? With clemency? No. With a pardon? Yes. But look, we can always talk. This could be a 10-hour conversation about the Second Amendment and whether or not our forefathers said, hey, if you commit a felony, you lose your right to bear arms. I don't agree with that shit either. I don't think the Trump administration does either. Although there's going to be a fine line, I think that this is going to happen where felons will be able to get their gun rights back, but they're going to base it off of if you had a nonviolent offense, yes. If you had a violent offense, no. But really, I think everybody should have the right to bear arms. Our forefathers didn't say that. I mean, they say no taxation without representation, right? Remember when felons couldn't vote? Some states they still can, but yet I had to pay taxes, but I can't vote because I had a felony. And in the world that we live in, anybody could be a felon. You could commit a felony and not even realize it. I was with a guy who put a meat tag. He owned a farm, old Italian guy. He owned and I'll never forget this guy. He had put a meat tag on some beef. Gave him a federal felony. He was like 80 years old. He was in jail. I don't understand why they do it to me, huh? And I'm like, I don't understand why they do it to you either, my friend. But, I mean, that's the world that we live in. Let's talk a little bit about Chrisley. I told you, we got limited time today.
One thing about the guns, okay? Here's a picture of Senator Cory Booker and the one guy I talked about on the program before.
Cory Booker's a piece of shit, but go ahead.
Okay, so that guy, his name is John Kostelnik. He pled guilty to domestic violence. He's a case manager over in Victorville. Should he be able to have a federal law enforcement job, Chad? He didn't just beat up one woman. He waterboarded his ex-wife. So should he be able to have a federal law enforcement job?
I don't know the particulars of his case, but I mean, if he's convicted and he's beating up his wife, we could, I don't want to play both sides of the fence here. I think that Josh Smith has demonstrated rehabilitation. I think that, the president, gave him clemency. This guy, while he's in the job, he does this and gets convicted? Probably not. Now, maybe 5 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if he's rehabilitated and turned his life around, should he be eligible? Some people might not like what I'm going to say. If he gets clemency and he doesn't have a felony on his record or conviction, then yeah, probably. Do I like the dude? No, I don't like that dude at all. You know I don't like him. But I can't say one thing for Josh Smith because he's Trump's guy and say another thing for this guy because he's Cory Booker's guy. And I think Cory Booker's a piece of shit. But no, I mean, I think it should be fair all the way around the board. And like I said, I 100% believe in rehabilitation, man. So if someone changes their life, they deserve opportunities, man.
And Chad, just to preface that picture, I can't say he's a Cory Booker guy because that's a union picture of all of our national union. So with Cory Booker, but that guy's in there. And what's funny is it's like, does Booker know he's taking a picture with like a domestic violence abuser?
I mean, whatever. I don't know. I mean, Cory Booker's on skin flukes, but
back to the politics thing. The hat, it is a hat. I got it from my father years ago when he was still alive. It says "Make America Great Again," but in Russian, and it has Stormy Daniels on the brim. By the way, autograph.
So tell me what else you want to talk about before we, get out of here. Our 40 minutes is almost up.
The Chrisley thing, man. So Chrisley goes on the has a podcast, and the director kind of really screwed up on that. Like the director's on company time using company facilities and saying now he gets rid of our collective bargaining agreement, William Billy Bob Marshall, and then he ends up saying we're going to go by the policies and the laws and everything else. Well, dude, you don't know your policies then because you just violated your own whatchamacallit, your policies. Like 5 CFR 2635 is the principles of ethics and so on and so forth. Now, Chrisley's on there. He got pardoned, I think. He got pardoned by Trump. And Chrisley's on there admitting on his podcast that, yeah, I had a cell phone in prison. I had 2 of them. And then that they were wiring people money, probably wire fraud, who knows, all kinds of other shit, and wiring other inmates money. And he's acting like he's some, Don Juan whatever guy. But at the end of the day, that dude Chrisley admitted to committing a felony. I guess it's 18 USC 1791, and there's a 5-year statute of limitation. So why would Billy Bob Marshall go on a podcast with somebody who's admitted that he did crimes while in prison, and he's not supposed to meet with inmates until after a year? That's the Home Bureau of Prisons policy. So he's on probation. His ass should be on administrative leave, pending the investigation, and he should be put in a penalty box. He should be listening to inmate phone calls like any other person that would do something like that. But is that going to happen? I mean, and who advised him to have because they had endorsements on that podcast. So were they making money off of that shit too? The Chrisley and at the government's expense. I mean, so there's a lot of issues there, and I'm going to be doing. I have my own Facebook page up. It's called Federal Bureau of Prisons Avengers, and I'm going to be putting a sample template to file an OSC charge against Billy Marshall for that Chrisley nonsense and what he did on that podcast. So if you're a federal employee, a former BOP or current BOP employee, and you want to file it, all you got to do is I'll have it up on my on the Federal Bureau of Prisons Avengers website, and you can just cut and paste it, go on OSC and file it. So this is what the meme we did. And it's on the Federal Bureau of Prisons Avengers thing, and I think it's kind of funny. I don't know if you like it or not, but I'm going to play it for you. It's quick. It goes to the song "Just the Two of Us."
Wow.
Drops fall and the beauty of it all. And when I put on here, BOP Director Billy Bob, and prison punk Chrisley selling pardons and Rico partying together forever. True prison love. Just the 2 of us.
Well, listen, man. I mean, it's obvious that you guys dislike this guy. I mean, plenty of people dislike these guys. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, Josh is a former prisoner. And staff members are like, I'm not having no former prisoner tell me what to do because we're the boss. We're the cops. And I think that's the culture. That's the culture that's in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And some people might not want to admit it, but I mean, we're keeping it real and raw. That's exactly what it is. They're like, we're not having no former prisoner tell us what to do. Hold on now, Eric. Let me have the floor.
All right, man.
But I think that's the sentiment. I think that people are pissed off because the assistant director is a former prisoner.
Well, it's different. I was talking about Billy Marshall. I mean, Josh Smith, I thought we were done with him.
No. I'm saying that everybody dislikes the director because of Josh Smith. It's a two-way street. They come as a pair.
I could care less. I mean, what's his name? Wasn't Josh Smith there first? No, Billy Marshall was there first, I think. I put this sign up right outside of FDC Miami when I was union president. So that was not just for our staff. I mean, it was put up by us, and AFG paid for it. And I got flack from a lot of people. AFG and CPL 33 gave us it was like $1,100. They gave us $900 to do it. And it says, understaffing and augmentation at FDC Miami Federal Jail, there's a coffin, lead to death. So that's for the staff and the inmates. I mean, we've had at that facility at FDC Miami, we've had 10 inmate suicides in the last 5 years. And we had a recent one that was really public. It was this David Knizovich guy. And the Lieutenant Miguel Devay, never did rounds that night. So the officer that was there was a new employee, and they basically forced him out and shitted on him, and let the lieutenant. Nothing happened to the lieutenant. And we recently too, they had two officers at the Christmas party pulled guns on each other, and they still have their jobs. One was promoted, and there's a police report on it. So that's the problem I have with the Bureau of Prisons is you got Chrisley coming on a podcast which violates so many ethics and everything else. Plus, he hasn't been out of prison in a year, so he violated that policy. Billy Bob did, and then you have Chrisley admitting that he committed crimes and that he's not been pardoned for, and then they're allowing him to go back to federal prisons and talk. He went to this RDAP thing at Pensacola, and he never was an RDAP. So what the fuck does he know about RDAP? Why are you going to sit there and talk about it, Chrisley, like you knew something? And so he went there, and he went to FCI Miami too. So if this dude can't be trusted because he admitted to committing crimes to the director of the Bureau of Prisons, and why are they letting him have carte blanche to go around? It's Steve Harvey, all this nonsense. It's all showboating. It's all bullshit.
Well, listen, I think Chrisley experienced, federal prison. He experienced how it is and how people are mistreated. And he's like, hey, look, you know what? Hold on, man. I dislike these people, and I'm going to expose what's really going on in the BOP. And staff members aren't happy about that.
No. And
come on, Eric.
Come on, man. Hey, you tell me. Did he experience your federal prison or my federal prison? No, bullshit. He was at a Camp Cupcake he was at. I don't want to hear that, man.
I think he experienced, how people are mistreated. That's what I really believe. And now he
ran that whole camp, and it's going to come up in this arbitration. I can't get into it, man. I wish I could really dime that shit out, because what he did and what's going to come out, he better stay off his podcast, because he's giving the whole world everything, and it's gonna come out.
Well, listen, I'm gonna bring your boy Fred on too. All right, I appreciate you coming on. Anything?
Fred, we're gonna be on a podcast tomorrow together, bro. Another one.
Anything?
I know the one you don't like.
No, I don't dislike those guys. I mean, they do what they do. I mean, yeah. I don't necessarily dislike them. You know what I mean? Like, I've had some good conversations with Kyle. I don't know. I mean, look, man, I try to stay out of I
shouldn't have done that to you. It's not my bad.
Man, it don't matter. Look, I don't dislike Kyle, man. I mean, if you want to know the truth, I don't dislike Kyle. I think that, he marketed himself. He's making money. If he stays out of prison, that's great for him. I mean, keep doing what he does. I've given him some advice. Whether he takes it or not is up to him. But I try to stay out of the back and forth, dude. And you know what? Sometimes I get a little unprofessional. And I go resort to being an asshole, and I get into that. But I want to stay away from that stuff. I've always tried to stay away from that because I'm not a prisoner no more, man. I'm free. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm trying to live my best life. And if I can help people along the way, that's really what I do. But anyway, man, Eric, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your experience, your story. We'll probably do a part 3 because me and you aren't done yet. And I like you. I think you were an asshole as a cop, just keeping it real. But as a person, I think you're an all right dude. And I hope you get your job back because I think you'll go in there and give them hell and expose, the bullshit that they're doing. And they'll probably try to fire you again. So again, man, thank you for coming on. Blood on the Razor Wire TV with respect. We're out.